Good night and short stories with a gentle impulse for inner exploration. Season 1, Arrival, Intention and Inner Spaces. Episode 5, The Voice in the Dark. Welcome to this 5th episode of the Good Night and Short Stories. Perhaps you are listening in the evening, as the day grows quieter, as thoughts settle like birds returning to their nests. Perhaps you are listening in a moment when you simply want to rest and hear a gentle story. Perhaps you are listening in a time when you wish to come a little closer to yourself. In the last episode, we stepped into the garden of possibilities, a space where something new may grow when we offer it our attention. Tonight we turn toward a different space, a space many people shy away from. The not knowing. It is the moment when the path before us becomes dark, when we cannot see where we are going, when we only sense that we must continue but do not know how. And yet, in this darkness there is a voice, quiet, soft, persistent. A voice that guides us when everything else falls silent. Before we begin, breathe in and out. Chapter 1, When the Path Becomes Invisible. There are moments in life when we can no longer see the way. Moment when the light fades, when orientation crumbles, when we wonder how we are supposed to move forward. These moments are not loud. They are not dramatic. They are quiet. And perhaps that is why they feel so heavy. The darkness we speak of is not the darkness of night. It is the darkness of not knowing, the darkness between two steps, the darkness in which we can neither go back nor see ahead. Many people fear this space because it takes away our sight, it takes away our certainty, it takes away the feeling of being in control. But the darkness does not take everything. It gives something back. Something we often overlook when life is bright. A quiet inner voice. A voice that does not explain, does not argue, does not push. It simply says, continue. This voice is not a command, it is an invitation. A reminder that we can walk even without seeing the path. Tonight we open the space of not knowing, the space of darkness, the space where the quiet voice becomes audible. And with that we meet the girl who lost her way in the forest. Chapter 2, The Story, The Voice in the Forest. There once was a girl who lost her way in a deep, ancient forest. The day had long passed, and the last golden threads of sunlight had slipped behind the treetops. The trunks stood like old pillars around her, dark against a sky that had turned a deep, quiet blue. The forest breathed, slowly, heavily, like a great sleeping creature. The girl turned left, then right, but everything looked the same. Everything was shadow, everything was darkness. The path she had walked earlier seemed to have vanished, as if the night had swallowed it whole. The ground beneath her feet felt soft, almost yielding, as though it absorbed every uncertain step. She sat down on a stone that felt cool and smooth. Her hands trembled. Her eyes filled with tears. "I don't know where to go," she whispered, her voice barely more than a thread lost between the trees. The forest did not answer. No rustling, no birds. Only silence. A silence so dense it felt like a weight on her shoulders. She lowered her head. She felt small, lost, alone. But then, very softly, she heard something. Not loud, not from outside, not like a sound carried through the air. It was more like an inner vibration, a gentle breath rising from a depth she could not name. A voice, as soft as an exhale, as tender as a thirst thought, so delicate it could easily be missed. "Stand up." The girl lifted her head. She blinked into the darkness, but she saw no one. Only trees, only night, only stillness. "Stand up," the voice repeated, not urging, not demanding, simply there, like a hand held out to her. She wiped her tears and stood. "Take a step," the voice said again. She lifted her foot and placed it gently on the ground. A small step, uncertain but real. Another. She walked, slowly, carefully, step by step. The voice never told her where she was going. It never said how far she must walk. It never promised what she would find. It only said, "Continue." And so she walked through the darkness, through the silence, through a forest that felt endless. Sometimes she stopped. Sometimes she hesitated. Sometimes she wondered if she imagined everything. But each time fear rose within her. She heard the voice again, soft, gentle, persistent. "Continue." And she did. The forest did not change. The darkness remained, but something within her began to shift. Her breath grew calmer, her steps steadier, her heart a little lighter. After a while, she did not know how long, something changed. Not a sudden light, not a sound, not a magical moment. A shimmer, a faint brightening between the trees, a thread of silver woven through the dark. She followed it, not faster, not slower, in her own rhythm. The forest grew lighter, the shadows softer, the air warmer. And finally she stepped out of the forest onto a meadow bathed in moonlight. The grass glimmered, as if the sky had laid its stars upon it. The night was white, clear, gentle. She breathed deeply. For the first time in hours she felt held. She was safe, not because she knew the way, not because she understood the path, but because she trusted the voice that guided her through the dark. A voice that was not loud, not clear, not explaining. A voice that said only, "Continue." And sometimes that is all we need. This story opens our view to the wisdom of the unknown. Chapter 3, Meaning: The Wisdom of the Unknown. The darkness is not an enemy. It is a transition, a space between what we know and what we have not yet seen. When the path becomes invisible, when familiar shapes dissolve, when answers fall silent, a moment arises in which we must listen differently. The darkness takes our sight, so we may learn to see with something else. It invites us to turn inward, toward the quiet voice that does not push, does not argue, does not demand. This voice is intuition, inner guidance, wordless knowing, a sense of still forward, a trust that needs no explanation. It does not tell us where we will end. It shows us where we may begin. And sometimes that is enough. The darkness is a place where we meet ourselves, not as the person who knows everything, but as the person who is willing to take the next step. And before we continue, 2 poetic scenes open, one within and one in the world around you. Chapter 4, Poetic Scene: The Inner Forest. Imagine you are standing in an inner forest. No threatening, just still. The trees stand close together, their trunks dark, their crowns high. The ground is soft, covered with moss that quiets your steps. You cannot see the path, it is hidden, like a thought not yet fully formed. But the darkness does not feel hostile. It feels like a cloak, gathering you, holding you. The air is cool but kind. It carries the scent of earth, of bark, of night. You hear nothing. No animals, no footsteps, no voices from outside. Only your breath, in and out. Steady, calm. And then, very softly, something appears. Not a word, not a sentence. More like a breath, a quiet inner glow. A voice, soft, gentle, unintrusive. It says only, "Continue." And now we step into the outer world. Chapter 5, Poetic Scene: The Forest in the Outer World. Imagine you are standing in a real forest. Night has fallen. The sky is a dark cloth without stars. The trees cast long shadows that stretch across the ground. A soft wind moves the branches, and the rustling sounds like a whisper. You cannot see the path. It has disappeared into the darkness. but you feel the ground beneath your feet. Steady, familiar, supportive. A faint touch of moonlight falls through the treetops. Not enough to show the way, but enough to remind you that you are not standing in nothingness. And somewhere between all of this, you hear a voice. Not loud, not clear, just a breath. An inner echo. Continue. And with these images, we turn to your own gentle questions. Chapter 6. Reflection Prompts. If you like, take a moment with these questions. Where in your life is it dark right now? Which decision feels invisible? Which quiet voice within you is trying to be heard? What might your next small step be? Not the big one, just the next. Where could you practice trust without certainty? You do not need to solve anything, only listen. And now a meditation opens. Chapter 7. Meditation. Hearing the voice in the dark. If you like, close your eyes. Breathe in and out. Let your breath come as it wishes. Let it go as it wishes. In your rhythm. Breathe in and out. Imagine you are standing at the edge of a forest. Night has settled, soft and deep, like a dark veil laid gently over the world. Before you lies a path, but you cannot see it. It is there, but hidden, like a thought not yet fully formed. You take a step forward. The ground beneath your feet feels soft, like moss that carries you. Breathe in and out. You walk deeper into the forest. The darkness around you is not heavy. It is like a cloak, gathering you, holding you. The trees stand still. The air is cool but kind. It carries the scent of earth, of wood, of night. You hear nothing, no animals, no footsteps, no voices from outside. Only your breath, in and out, steady, calm. Breathe in out. And then, very softly, something appears. Not a word, not a sentence. More like a quiet inner glow. A voice, soft, gentle, warm. It says only, continue. You pause, you listen, you feel. The voice is not loud, it is not sharp. It is like a breath rising from a depth you know, but rarely visit. Perhaps you feel it in your chest, perhaps in your belly, perhaps in your back, perhaps only as warmth spreading gently within you. Breathe in and out. You take a step, only one, soft, honest. The forest does not change, the darkness remains. But something in you grows lighter. Perhaps it is trust, perhaps courage, perhaps simply the sense that you are not alone. The voice says again, continue, not as a command, not as pressure, but as an invitation, a reminder that the next step is always possible. Breathe in and out. You walk step by step in your own rhythm, in your truth. With each breath, the darkness softens. It loses its weight. It becomes a space that carries you instead of swallowing you. Perhaps you feel that you are guided. Perhaps you feel that you are held. Perhaps you simply feel that you are here, and that is enough. Breathe in and out. When you are ready, follow the voice back to the here and now. Take the quiet with you. Take the warmth with you. Take the memory that the voice within you is always there, even when the path is not yet visible. Breathe in and out, and gently open your eyes. Chapter 8. Closing. Trust without sight. Sometimes the path becomes dark, not to test us, but to teach us to listen differently. When the light fades, when familiar shapes dissolve, when direction disappears, a space opens in which something else can be heard. The darkness is not an obstacle. It is a threshold, a quiet in-between, where we do not see but feel. Perhaps it is in this space that we learn that trust does not come from certainty, but from the courage to move forward without it. The voice in the dark is not a riddle. It is a gift, a gentle companion reminding you do not need to know everything. You do not need to see everything. You do not need to understand everything. You may simply walk step by step, breath by breath. And as you walk, as you listen, as you lean into this quiet voice, something grows within you, something stronger than any answer, a trust that rises from within. Thank you for walking into this space with me today. Thank you for listening. Thank you for coming closer to your own voice. In the next episode, we meet the river of feelings, the element that moves us, softens us, and reminds us that everything within us is in motion. Until then, may the quiet voice walk with you, even when the path is not yet visible. If you feel called to wander a little deeper, scripts, audio pieces, and small companion materials are available on my channels, including YouTube and Poetic. Perhaps one of them will walk a little further with you.